Good morning everyone. This is Raghu, Assistant Professor of Biotechnology from SRN BGNR Government College, Khammam. So today's topics are protein classification and structure. So in the previous class we have seen the amino acid structure and biological importance and some properties of amino acids. So in this class we will see the protein classification and also the protein structure. So when we will call a structure as a protein or a peptide, if the amino acid composition in a structure is less than 50, then it is called as a peptide. If the amino acid composition in a structure it is more than 50, then it is called as a protein. So peptide contains less than 50 amino acids in the structure, whereas proteins contain more than 50 amino acids in the structure. While coming into the classification of proteins based on structure, that means shape of the molecule. The proteins are classified into two major groups, that is fibrous proteins and globular proteins. So fibrous proteins are made up of long rod-shaped string-like structure. They will appear like thread-like structures. They form strong fibers. They are long, elongated. Generally, they are insoluble in water, and they are abundantly present in connective tissues, elastic tissues, hair, skin, etc. So best example is collagen, elastin, keratin. So keratin in hair, elastin in skin, collagen in the body, etc. are the examples of fibrous proteins. So they will appear like thin, long, elongated structures. They are very strong. They will give tensile strength to the structure. So these are fibrous proteins. So globular proteins are round in shape, spherical, ovoid in shape. They are mostly all the enzymes and proteins involved in metabolisms, and also they are easily soluble in water when compared to fibrous proteins, and they will travel faster in gels, polyacrylamide or agarose gels when compared to fibrous proteins. Best example is hemoglobin, transferrin, all the enzymes and some hormones will come under globular proteins. So next one is the protein classification based on function, occurrence and function. So you can see clearly the list. Catalysis, so that is function, enzymatic function. Some examples are mentioned here like lactate dehydrogenase, which converts lactate into pyruvate and pyruvate to lactate. Cytochrome C, which is a mitochondrial protein, plays an important role in electron transport. DNA polymerase, which is involved in DNA replication and repair, so that is under catalysis. And most of the proteins will act as structural proteins. So here are some of the structural proteins. So like viral coat proteins, prions, glycoproteins, alpha keratin present in skin, hair, feather, hair, hoofs, and beta keratin is present in silk of cocoons, spider webs. Collagen, which is present in fibrous connective tissue. Elastic connective tissue, that is skin. So that is structural role of proteins. And storage, proteins can also be stored in the body, and that storage proteins are ovalbumin present in egg white, casein present in milk, ferritin in spleen, gliadin in wheat, zein in corn. So ferritin, gliadin, zein, casein, ovalbumin, all these proteins are storage proteins. So structural proteins, they make structural integrity. Storage proteins, they play an important role in the storage form. of protein. So some other functions include protection. So in protection, antibodies. So glycoproteins, antibodies are glycoproteins. They play an important role in defense mechanism. Fibrinogen, fibrous protein, it is involved in blood clotting, and also thrombin, also involved in blood clotting. And in regulation, that is hormonal proteins, that is insulin, which regulates the glucose metabolism, and growth hormone, which regulates the growth of bones. And the proteins which are involved in nerve impulse transmission, rhodopsin, which is present in eyes, play an important role in vision, and acetylcholine receptors in transport of nerve impulses in between the nerve cells. And the proteins that are involved in movements involve dynein, actin, and myosin. So dynein involved in ciliary and flagellary movement, actin muscle fiber, and also actin and myosin together involved in muscle fiber contraction. And proteins can also act as transport proteins. Hemoglobin, which transports oxygen, myoglobin, that transport oxygen in muscles, serum albumin transports fatty acids in blood, transferrin transports iron in blood, ceruloplasmin transports copper in blood. So copper in blood is transported by ceruloplasmin, transferrin transport of iron, serum albumin transfer of fatty acids, myoglobin oxygen, hemoglobin oxygen. So that is the transport role of proteins. So that is based on the function and occurrence of the proteins. So next one is based on composition. Classification of proteins based on composition. So based on composition, proteins are classified into two major groups: simple proteins and conjugated proteins. So simple proteins contain only amino acid residues. Conjugated proteins, a part of protein part, they contain non-protein part, that is prosthetic groups. It may be organic or inorganic compound. So best example of conjugated proteins, nucleoproteins, histones, they contain DNA as prosthetic group. Lipoproteins, VLDL, HDL, LDL, we will discuss in lipids when we talk with types of lipoproteins. VLDL, HDL, LDL, they contain protein and lipid as prosthetic group. Glycoproteins like gamma globulin, immunoglobulin, mucus in saliva. So all these will come under glycoproteins, which contain carbohydrate as prosthetic group. So if the protein contains phosphorus as prosthetic group, those are called as phosphoproteins. Best example, casein in milk, it's a phosphoprotein. And if contains heme as prosthetic group, then they are called as hemoproteins. Example, hemoglobin, myoglobin, cytochromes, etc. Metalloproteins, they contain metal ions as prosthetic groups. So which we have mentioned earlier, maybe inorganic or organic. Metalloproteins, inorganic metal ions will be prosthetic group. Example, iron, ferritin, hemoglobin, or alcohol dehydrogenase, which contains zinc. So iron containing proteins are ferritin, hemoglobin. Zinc containing proteins are alcohol dehydrogenase. So that is conjugated proteins. So that is classification based on shape, based on function, so based on composition of proteins. So next one is structure of proteins. So generally the proteins will exhibit four different structures: primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. So we have seen the peptide bond formation during when we discussed about the amino acid properties. So in primary structure, it contains linear array of amino acids which are connected with just peptide bond. So protein backbone will be only peptide bond. A part of peptide bond, there won't be any other bond in the primary structure of the protein. So best example, if you see the insulin, it is just attached with a linear array of amino acids with peptide. So that is the primary structure of the proteins. So secondary structure, a part of peptide bond, the secondary structure is especially stabilized by hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding. So the bond which has the strength of 1/10 of covalent bond, hydrogen bond. So that hydrogen bond play an important role in structural stability in secondary structure. Secondary structure is of three types: alpha helix, beta pleated sheet, and collagen triple helix. So all these structures are stabilized by hydrogen bonding. If you see the structure of alpha helix, the classic alpha helix structure was given by Linus Pauling and Carl Corey. So generally alpha helix will be existing in two different forms, right-handed alpha helix and left-handed alpha helix. So you can see the right-handed alpha helix, it represents the right-handed with a thumb up, and left-handed alpha helix, it is representing like left-handed with thumb up. So that is left-handed and right-handed alpha helix. So the left-handed or right-handed alpha helix are stabilized with the help of intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Intramolecular means within the structure the hydrogen bonds are present. So if nth residue is the first residue, n fourth residue will be connected with the nth residue with a hydrogen bond. So that is the intramolecular hydrogen bonding that is present in alpha helical structure. So you can see the properties of alpha helical structure. It may exist either right-handed or left-handed form. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding will be stabilizing the alpha helical structure. The hydrogen bonding is between nth and n plus 4th residue. There will be around 3.6 amino acid per each turn of the helix, and the pitch of the helix is 5.4 angstroms. And you can also see here the psi and phi values that we will discuss in Ramachandran plot, which is the last topic of these slides. So that is alpha helical structure, which is stabilized by intramolecular hydrogen bonding, and the best example for alpha helical structure is alpha keratins and globular proteins like troponin, myoglobin, etc. They contain these alpha helical structures. Most of the proteins are contain the alpha helical structure. They also contain a mixture of alpha and beta pleated sheet structure also. So that is alpha helical structure. And if you see the amino acids which will disrupt the alpha helical structure, that means the amino acids that are absent in alpha helical structure, proline, which is an amino acid, it will disturb the structure. It will form bends or kinks, in the structure. Hence, it is absent in the alpha helical structure. Tryptophan, it contains bulky groups that will create steric inheritance. Steric hindrance. So that means steric interference or hindrance. So it does not allow the presence of tryptophan in the alpha helical structure because of its bulky groups. And also branched chain amino acids are absent in the alpha helical structure. They will also create steric hindrance. And also acidic and basic amino acids, they will also destabilize the alpha helical structure. So acidic and basic amino acids, branched chain amino acids, bulky group containing amino acids like tryptophan, and also amino acid like proline are absent completely in the alpha helical structure. So these amino acids will create destability of alpha helical structure. So that is alpha helix. So next one is beta pleated sheet. The protein structure will be in the form of sheets. The form of sheets, that is called as beta pleated sheet. The amino acids which are absent in alpha helix are present in beta plated sheet. Proline, since it is a bent structure, beta plated sheets will be in the form of bends, large sheets in the form of bends. Proline is required for the beta plated sheet to form these bends or kings. So proline is present. And also aromatic amino acids with bulky groups like tryptophan, tyrosine, phenylalanine, they are also present. And also branched chain amino acids are also present in this beta pleated sheet. If you see the beta pleated sheet structure, it is generally parallel or anti-parallel. Parallel or anti-parallel. So you can clearly see the presence of intermolecular hydrogen bonding is a specialty of beta pleated sheets. Presence of intermolecular, that means the sheets are present, the sheets will be attached with each other with the help of intermolecular hydrogen bond, in between intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So if you see the carbon and nitrogen that are involved in the peptide bond in the anti-parallel structure of beta plated sheets, they are present opposite to each other. You can see clearly carbon on the left side, carbon to the opposite to the carbon, nitrogen is present, and the oxygen on the carbon and hydrogen and the nitrogen play an important role in the formation of intermolecular hydrogen bond. So this is the arrangement of carbon and nitrogen on the opposite sheets in the anti-parallel beta pleated sheet. So in the parallel beta pleated sheet, you can see a carbon is present in front of a carbon in the opposite position, and a nitrogen is present in front of the nitrogen, and a hydrogen, intermolecular hydrogen bonding between the carboxylic group and amino group of the adjacent beta pleated sheets are seen here. So in anti-parallel position, nitrogen and carbon are present on opposite side. Here in parallel, carbon and carbon, nitrogen and nitrogen are present on the opposite side. So that is the difference between parallel and anti-parallel beta pleated sheet. So beta pleated sheets are present, best example is silk fibroin. So silk fibroin contains beta pleated sheets, and also several proteins, they contain mixture of alpha and beta pleated sheets. So next one is collagen triple helix. So it's a special structure, and collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body. Most abundant protein in the human body. So the collagen triple helix contains 3 different chains. Collagen triple helix contains 3 different chains. All the 3 chains will be in left-handed helical manner. All the 3 chains will be, you can see the 3 chains clearly in the diagram. 1, 2, 3. Pink, green and blue. So each chain is a left-handed helical chain, and they form a right-handed triple helix. They will be interwound around each other to form a right-handed triple helix. So each chain will form a left-handed helical chain. All these 3 left-handed helical chain will be interwound around each other to form a right-handed triple helix. It's a supra molecule with 3 alpha left-handed alpha chain interwound to form right-handed triple helix. So each chain, left-handed chain, for each turn they contains 3 amino acids: proline, hydroxyproline and glycine. 1, 2, 3. Third position will be glycine. Because of this suprahelical structure, it gives only a little space for the amino acid to be inserted. So only the amino acid having small structure and also easily occupied position is glycine. So glycine will be always the third position among the three amino acids present in the left-handed helical chains. So which are interwoven to form right-handed triple helix. So that is collagen triple helix. So these are the three secondary structures: alpha helix, beta pleated sheet and collagen triple helix, which are stabilized by inter and intramolecular hydrogen bonds. So next one is tertiary structure. Here it is also called as three-dimensional structure of the proteins, and the different kinds of bonds are present in this three-dimensional structure of proteins. The first one is disulfide bridges. So there are disulfide bonds are present in between the cysteine residues of the proteins, and also salt bridges. That means because of the existence of acidic and basic amino acids, they form salt bridges with oppositely charged amino acids. So that is salt bridges. Hydrogen bonds as shown in the secondary structure. Hydrophobic interactions. So these hydrophobic interactions are generally present inside the protein. The branched chain amino acids in the protein structure play an important role for these hydrophobic interactions in the proteins. So this is the three-dimensional structure of a protein with all its acidic and basic amino acids on the outside the structure, which are interacting with the aqueous region of the protein, and the hydrophobic region contains the aromatic amino acids and also branched chain amino acids. Hydrophobicity is present inside the protein, and aqueous nature is present outside the protein. All the enzymes and most of the hormones will be present in this three-dimensional structure or tertiary structure. So that is tertiary structure of the protein. So next one is quaternary structure. As tertiary structure, the quaternary structure also contains disulfide bridges, salt bridges, hydrogen bond, hydrophobic interactions, etc. All non-covalent interactions are present in the quaternary structure. But here the proteins are present in polypeptide chains or polypeptide subunits. And these polypeptide subunits are linked with each other with these non-covalent interactions to form the quaternary structure. So best example is hemoglobin. So hemoglobin have two identical alpha chains and two identical beta chains. Each alpha chain contains 141 amino acids and 146 amino acids are present in beta chain. Each subunit contains a heme group. So four different chains, two identical chains, alpha chains and two beta chains, which are linked with non-covalent interactions. So the best example for quaternary structure is hemoglobin. So you can see the quaternary structure here with four different chains. So next one is characteristics of peptide bond. So a peptide bond is formed when a carboxylic group of one amino acid reacts with amino group of another amino acid. We have seen in the structure of amino acids where a water molecule is removed and a peptide bond is formed. You can see clearly the peptide bond CONH bond clearly here. So the carbon atom that is attached to the peptide bond is called as alpha carbon atom. So you can clearly see C alpha C and C alpha N. So here generally the peptide bond is rigid and planar and has partial double bond character. So you can clearly see oxygen on the carbon atom which is involved in peptide bond formation, and this oxygen is highly electronegative, which attracts the electrons on the neighboring carbon atom, which in turn attracts the electrons on neighboring nitrogen and vice versa. So the peptide bond that is found between this carboxylic and amino group will have partial double bond character due to the presence of electronegative atom oxygen. Due to this partial double bond character, the peptide bond has rigid and it is planar. And the rotation is possible only between the carbon atoms which are attached to the peptide bond, that is C alpha C and C alpha N. So the C alpha C and C alpha N rotation is calculated with the help of phi and psi values. The C alpha N rotation is called as phi value and C alpha C rotation is called as psi. C alpha C rotation is called as psi value. C alpha N rotation is called as phi value. Based on this phi and psi value, Professor Ramchandran has created a plot called as Ramchandran plot. And these phi and psi values, rotation values, vary with the type of structure of protein. So with the help of this Ramchandran plot, Professor Ramchandran has given the psi and phi values for different structures of proteins. So if you see right-handed alpha helix, psi and phi values -57, -47. It is the psi and phi value of right-handed alpha helix. If you see for left-handed alpha helix, it will be +57, +47. So the psi and phi values vary with the type of the structure of the protein. So with the help of the psi and phi values, you can identify the structure of a protein, whether it is present in primary, that means especially secondary structure of the protein, whether it is present in alpha helical structure, that is right-handed or left-handed alpha helical structure, or beta plated sheets, that means parallel or anti-parallel beta plated sheet. If it is present in secondary structure, special structure collagen triple helix. So all these secondary structures can be identified with the help of phi and psi values which are given by Professor Ramchandran. So this is the Ramchandran plot where you can clearly see the phi and psi values of different secondary structure of the proteins. Based on this psi and phi values, we can identify the secondary type of secondary structure of a protein. So that is Ramchandran plot. So that is today's topic, structure of proteins and also classification of proteins. Thank you for patiently listening about the